My name is Kingsley, Kormla, Elikem Mortey, and you are here with us. Myself and Chairman Richard Ahija, we are here. It's an exciting time. Ghana politics, everything is taking shape. We are very excited. But we'll keep this one rolling very quickly. Today, we'll go deeper. We'll look at the manifestos and some of the items. We'll possibly touch on what JM have put, the social contract that JM have put in front of the people of Ghana. And our hope is that Biometric come up with something. But we will deal with it pretty well. And good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Good morning, and hopefully you enjoy this one as well.
victory of Muhammad. The victory of Muhammad.
Ghana is at an important juncture in its history, and the decision that we make on 7th December is going to reflect on the future of this country. In the last Afrobarometer survey, more than 80% of Ghanaians said that our country is going in the wrong direction. If you are walking or you are driving and you are going in the wrong direction, what do? You change your course. And that is why on 7th December, Ghana must change course. We cannot solve the crisis in which we are with the same people who caused the crisis in the first place. The youth of this country don't have 4 years to waste. The youth of this country are in a hurry to create the opportunities that will make them live a dignified life. The youth of this country want an experienced hand. They want a safe pair of hands. They want a hand that they have seen do it before to come back and take this country and rescue us from the mess in which we have been dumped by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. 4 years of a good leader will make more impact than 8 years of a dishonest leader. It's not about how long you serve. It is about how well you serve. It's not about 8 years or 4 years. It is about hard work. It is about truth. It is about trust. And it is about doing the things that will create a future for our young people. And that is why the NDC is calling on you on 7th December to do your duty to your God and country so that we can turn this nation around. And so on this occasion, as the leader and flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, I declare the campaign, NDC campaign for 2024 election duly launched.
NDC miawe Aladani zongo Kamami Ingelezo Ghana bebia
Ayikoya putu Sotupu Mahani Mahina Adu Hira
Translate
Atemuri Inna Anonigira
Mama Hama, Miss Now, the Poto, Miss Now, Mama, Organamatu, Mahani,
Uratu. Greetings, everybody. My name is Kingsley. Kormla, Elikem, Mortey. We are here. It's an exciting time. The NDC continue to break several barriers. The NDC continue to soar higher, and the NDC continue to set higher and very, very difficult standards for the MPP to meet. And more difficult is it that it is under the leadership of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The NDC, the MPP has been coming down. You know, from President Kufuor's time, the MPP was a little bit elevated because it was just immediately after Jerry Rawlings, and so the country was still booming and things were still going on very well. And so it is hard to tell, but it looked like. I mean, come on, let's look at these two things. Look at the leadership of former President John Ajay Kufuor and the minister that he was working with. Okay, Osafuma for Richard Anani. If you look, Dr. Osea Kotu, if you look at the caliber of people that were working under President Kufuor, and then look at the caliber of people, you just look at Bawumia and look at Napo, for example. Look at Cecilia Dapa. Like, look at the caliber of people under Nana Dodankwa Akufo-Addo. It tells you the MPP is going down consistently. And again, if you look at the NDC's trajectory have been going up. Yeah, this is the first time we are having Professor as a vice. We've had Professor as a president before, and Nanta Mills. But it's an amazing time to be an NDC member. And the launch of the campaign manifesto, and the launch of the campaign internally, and then one in Winneba yesterday. It's amazing. Chairman Richard Alinja, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Kingsley. And let me say good evening from my end to you and your cherished listeners and viewers. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. So, Chairman, generally your take on the your take on the campaign so far, and I will play some old videos and audio, and I will put some things in front of you, and then we'll look at that. But your general take on the work that was done in Winneba.
Yeah, Winneba is my base, and I was glad to be taken to my Winneba campus where I did my advanced training college. I'm member of the Hall. In fact, a secretary of the hall then, way back in my youthful days. And so I've seen a lot of changes. But again, what I realized is that I saw a lot more students and youth who had overflown the place and swarmed the whole campus, and some were outside. I entered a room, the auditorium, and I realized that that's a new auditorium which has been built for us. And that's my alma mater, I must confess. And the way the event planners, and here I must congratulate our brother Standobe. He's been doing a very good job. I know he leads that event planning, and the ambience professionally done, decent, neat, clean. Everything was in place where the podium itself, the cameras were arranged, the screens were properly situated. It wasn't, and then the speakers were not standing, turning their backs to other people sitting behind them. So everybody, as usually does, had to sit in front of the speakers. So the speakers can have an eye-to-eye contact with everybody and be able to deliver. And that is, for me, it's been improving and progressing. And that is the person we have gotten as one of our own within the party itself. And there is no way we can compare that to any that we have been watching of this from our friends on the other side, where you have them disorganized and the chaotic and the people dancing and running all over the place without any planning. And look at the dressing and look at everything from the start to the end. The speakers were clear in their messages. They were not confused at all. They delivered professionally. They delivered. They were on point. They didn't miss words. They were not confused as to whether it's a 2.1 million or 21 million of employment. They were not confused as to who is the president or who is being addressed. They were not confused at all. So for me, I was very excited, and I came out, even though I was in my room, I came out proud of a party that I belong to, and these are the people we are growing, and people that we have no other pair of hands either by the president, the flag bearer, who is becoming the next president. Um, his flag bearer, we can tell, and everybody took home something to talk about. In the face of a plan to sabotage the event by somebody from the Winneba who belongs to the constituency, and I hear he's the chairman of the constituency who had come days earlier to warn on audio, to warn or advise all MPP folks in Winneba, Simpa, not to come out, and threaten that whoever, youth or adult or woman, whoever is caught on camera present at the event would suffer some consequences in terms of the MP Aponyuma Kingsley is now I believe the board chairman of ECG and has jobs available to employ a good number of you into the electric department, whatever it is, those with NVTI and whatever it is. And for me, I realized that we did not respond and nobody reacted from our end. That is maturity that we displayed, and we allowed him to do whatever he wanted to do in Winneba town. But Winneba had been a place for the Arabia course of National Commission for Democracy in this past. It's been a place for the industry, the small ceramic industry players over there, including the late Asante Mbro, Mr. Tong, and a number of people who were there in the early 80s when, at the time of the PNDC leading into the NDC. Thank you very much. Please.
Okay, so Chairman, let's look at the social contract that the NDC made available to the people of Ghana. This is very interesting. Very interesting because to me it was it's one thing to make promises. It's one thing to make promises to the people of Ghana. It's another thing to put them on paper. So President John Dramani Mahama made this document available to the people of Ghana, social contract. And number one, he said that he will nominate within the first 14 days the complete list of cabinet ministers for parliament's approval. And this is for me very, very important because we saw how condensed and when Anado was taking over, how horrible a process it was. And if Baumia has to continue, we know that this is going to be continued to be contested. So looking at this this contract in general and looking at some of the substance of this, what is your take on it?
Yeah, Kingsley, so let me pick it from where you left off for our listeners to understand that before the campaign itself was launched and the abridged booklet of the campaign passed around and circulated on social media, we had the president going around touring the country and listening to various players in the economy of Ghana, various industrial players, various demographics and all that, which were passed on to a continuous team of manifesto drafters, reviewers, and who packed it together. Let me here mention my former professor, Doctor of University of Ghana, Legon, Professor Dan Sobuafo, and others in his team who led this. So what I'm going to say is that he came out earlier with his policy statements, which went out ahead even before the youth manifesto was launched a couple of weeks ago. And yesterday was the main campaign manifesto. And immediately following the campaign, when we had dispersed this morning, we woke up to this milestone. How do you call it? I forgot the name. Is the one you are showing? That is the milestones. That is the
social contract.
The social contract. The exact target, what he wants to do at every milestone along the line into government. So he's being specific and targeting at what period he wants to show an end or an accomplishment of one task or the other. So, like you are showing on the screen, within the first 14 days, it should be done
Right.
with manning cabinet ministries. So we expect that he'll be able to present his cabinet. Remember, he has mentioned that it will not be more than 60.
Yes, 60
60
minutes.
is the ceiling. So all those who will be selected or nominated will then be passed on to Parliament to go through the vetting system for approval before assuming office. And so that is the agreement or the arrangement or the social contract that is having with the people.
Right.
Who are ready to, give him the mandate, so that he will know that, look, after this number of days, this is what we're going to do. Again, he's promised us about a lineage government, that is the 60 that he mentioned. So
Right.
and then we have been talking too much about 125 cabinet ministers and all that. So within 90 days, first 90 days, you'll be in office to scrap the following taxes. And that is not strange to anybody. Everybody is very excited about this. Ghanaians are overburdened, and the cost of living standard is just unbearable.
Right.
We were talking about either going to the IMF or a choice
Mm.
to introduce an electronic levy on any small money that you pass through your phone and remit to another person, be your mother, your father, your ward in a school somewhere. You needed to pay a certain tax on it. So after a number of months, we ended up ending forcefully, clandestinely, imposing the e-levy on us. But at the same time, we were not able to sustain it. We were not able to survive on it, and then we didn't withdraw it, but we moved, transition into IMF, which we had sworn never to go, or ended up there. We were expecting, some of us were expecting that. Well, beginning we were caught between either we choose the e-levy or we go to IMF. So now that we go to IMF, they better drop the e-levy because there
Right.
were two options. But we are still saddled with the e-levy. In addition to COVID levy, a COVID that had passed and closed internationally, a COVID that came and we made a lot from it. We had a lot of money. In spite of the difficulties, we had billions, if not hundreds of dollars from the entire community, IMF and the World Bank and others. So I don't know why we should be paying to maybe reimburse or recoup expenditures made on at the COVID time, and so it's not reasonable. Expectedly, the next president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, has promised, and we will stick to this promise. And that is the social contract he signed with us. Is going to sign, and is going to adhere strongly, firmly, without doubt, to drop this obnoxious levies imposed on Ghanaians. 10% levy on bet winnings. Yes, he has promised, because in where Ghanaians have been found in a state of abject poverty, people are not getting jobs to do. The youth cannot get anything to do, no job. So this sports betting is where they find some small monies by betting, maybe Chelsea versus another team, and then all that. So these are the things that we are going to hold the president to as soon as we give him.
For me, Chairman, the fact that we saw in this present year the NPP government who put in front of the people of Ghana a portal for the people to check a tracker, for the people to go and look at their achievements. And by the time people were like, oh, this doesn't exist, they quickly started deleting things and ultimately deleting the portal. And versus the NDC that printed documents like the Green Book and documents like the social contract going into 2025. The MPP, and you remember your own cousin or brother, Pius, was asked that we should list some achievements on CTFM, and he said they should go to the tracker, knowing very well that the tracker does not exist. The NDC continue to put documents together on paper for the people of Ghana to peruse. And this document is being made to the people of Ghana. Now, the question that you ask, the point I'm making here is that just oppose that with the MPP. That is, even their manifesto cry is so fluid. For example, you remember when the Alhaji Bawumia went to the people of Cape Coast and said, the people of Cape Coast, in our manifesto, we have something for you. The following day, his leader went on radio and said, no, we don't have anything like that in our manifesto. There is not going to be any airport building in Cape Coast. So their manifesto and their document seems to be so fluid that they keep changing.
Yeah, Kingsley, you see, you are being charitable with the last statement that you made and saying that they had the airport and the harbor in their manifesto. I don't know whether you are shy to hold them to task. There was nothing like that in the manifesto.
Yeah, but yeah. I'm saying that the manifesto was so fluid that Bawumia was trying to put it into it.
Bawumia was even saying, you're being charitable again on the second point. My second point is that Bawumia, when he stood in Cape Coast at a certain radio station, he said, the people of Cape Coast, we are building an airport. So he was doing it.
Yeah.
There was nothing like that. So you're being charitable. You're being charitable.
again on the Palugu Dam as well.
He said yes. He said it was a priority. So don't shy away from the realities, Kingsley. You're holding your fish. No, don't be shy for them. Say it as it is.
The country belongs to us. It is still our country.
I know. But on a serious note, you see, like you are saying, you see, when we were about reaching out the people during or accounting the people in our 2015-2016 time, where we were going to ask them for another mandate into 2017, and that, remember, we really prepared a document that they detest,
right,
but which they cannot place a finger on anything to say that is not available. So what we did was to put a book together we called the Green Book.
Right.
And it contained all pictures of all the projects that we had done and where they were located, the designs and all, the pictorial, except a few, to be honest, except a few where they were pictorial impressions, and we had stated over there they were now being done. So if you look at the Green Book, we had a lot more that had been done. Others, those done with pictures, and those not done with artistic impression. And we stated it clearly against them. There's a few of them. So when it came to Bawumia and his team during their time, what they did was give us a certain link, a site, tracker, go to that site and go and check. And when you went there, you will see pictures of toilets and other things plastered all over the place. And they were not labeled as, you can find this picture, which shows a 2-seater toilet, and that this picture is in this village or this town. But rather you will read a number of toilets having been built without pointing as to if there were 4. Here is number 1 in this Ekurasi, this is number 1 in this village, this is number 3 in another village. They didn't do that. So you'll be confused, you won't be able to tell anything. And even away from their tracker, when they are speaking to the public on the media, they keep on mentioning numbers without supporting the numbers with evidence or record or picture or a place, to confuse us. And when you ask them, and again, you see, when they did the latest one, they themselves went back. People started, showing the loopholes around it, and that this is not true, this is not right. And then they went back and came out to tell us that they had identified about 67% of them that had not been, that have problems with it. So they were going to correct it. About 67%. That's what he said about the recent tracker. So for me, I don't have an appetite to go and be checking on whatever they have put online. When I know that these people are credible, they are just liars trying to trick people into believing that they have something to offer and that they have delivered. No. Accountability is accountability. And be fair when you are accounting on your stewardship. Show me. Don't tell me numbers. The 2.1 million employment they say they have added to the employment figure in Ghana. If you have been listening to media engagement on various radio TV stations in Ghana, the discrepancy is still ensuing as to how did you come by this number? And the questions are being asked based on statistical services numbers, based on social security numbers, based on public employment numbers, based on private employment numbers. So it's about confusion. So we cannot be conclusive on that number of 2.1 or 2.3 that they have, splashed into the atmosphere, thinking that it will stick. Yeah, it will stick among their own people. But Ghanaians are discerning. And again, they should not take everybody for idiots. We have intellectuals, we have people who can read. We know what is happening. When in fact, the current unemployment figure, unemployment is in a 15% or 14.7%, almost 15% today, or the latest, as we have it from the statistical services. Meanwhile, during the 2016, at the end of 2016, unemployment was about 8%. You see, so if you say you added so many numbers onto employment, how come you are showing a higher unemployment rate than this? So questions are being asked, and they are not being honest like they do even with when it comes to finance and monies, putting some monies under the line and others above the line and all that, until IMF disagree with them, and to show exactly what the public debt is about. So they were equipped into line to make sure that you don't leave any numbers below the line, as they used to creatively present to us. And so you cannot trust them. They are not a team to be trusted.
Especially one of the things that
affairs. Yeah.
I think that when I saw the fact that I was talking to some of the people who ship cars to Ghana. In the past, some of these people used to ship 2-3 containers in a month. Now, even one container in 6 months is a struggle. I was talking to a brother recently, and he said, Charlie, I have only 2 cars, and normally they need a minimum of 3-4 cars to be able to ship. And then they said it's been a long time I've shipped, and they said the duties are so high, done by Bawumia and Anado Dan Kwakufado. Bawumia being the leader of the economic management team, the infamous water management team. Bawumia being the leader of the management team, and so if JM saying that he was going to do something about the import duties, especially for the ones that are being the vehicles that are being used for industry and agriculture. And then we also know the statement that JM made about for teachers and the nurses, the duty-free loan cars that are going to be made available to them. And then this current thing on the screen, the 13th item out of the 26th. Institute an inquiry or a forensic audit into the following matters of public interest: the collapsed indigenous banks, with Ghana banks, the illegal printing of money, $58 million, the National Cathedral money that has gone into it, illegal inflation of contracts, COVID expenditure, PDS, Japan, SML, ambulance spare part, which we all know and we've read details on. We are currently reading details on the 13th African Games, how lanyards and papers that were printed at the cost of $4.5 million paper. And I saw a journalist who was pissed because he pulled out his A4 sheet that the Palugu dam that Baumia infamously mentioned, the Sky Train, the issue of Masset that happened under the Baumia's vice, several issues. Do you think that, looking at all of this, is this something that the people of Ghana will be excited about? Is this enough for the people of Ghana to be excited?
Yeah, Kingsley.
Yes.
You're talking about the thievery and the scandals that have been done and continue to be done on a daily basis.
Right.
And they don't care how many times we expose them, thanks to Honorable Ablakwa and co. They don't really care. They are blatantly raping the country. Every day they start planning something. And rightly you mentioned, last week we were hit by this All African Games scandal. $3 million to GBC. With a counter from GBC saying that we only got or benefited $105,000. But that's about 3% of the entire contract that they were given. You see, they went through procurement, maybe with some other companies. It's not sole sourcing, unless, of course, we are going to go. We are waiting for more information about that. But $3 million for radio or TV coverage, not in the skies, not somewhere on Jar, not somewhere on Jupiter, on Earth, and in Ghana. It's not like some of the games were being played in Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, or Burkina Faso. But the places were in Accra, and perhaps I believe one in Cape Coast or so. And at the end of the day, you say GBC alone benefited this. I also got to hear, listening to the discussions that is going on in Ghana, that about $15 million spent on feeding the athletes and others who participate for that.
Yeah. $50 million, by the way.
And besides that, the Games Village on Legon campus,
Right.
they spent about $6 million on already existing structure, which is the house, a hostel for students. All they did was to put in fixtures.
Right.
And what were the fixtures? The fixtures were air conditioners.
Right.
And that alone, they spent about $6 million. Couldn't that have built new homes, new houses, new hostels for something profitable for people? Hospitals, schools, $6 million. Now, the surprising thing is that the media are also complaining that about $4.5 million was spent on accreditation badges.
Yeah.
$4.4 million. Nothing serious. So for media to be accredited, the budget towards that and the money spent, if they spend it at all, amounts to about 4. These are figures that we cannot, they just come out. And we expect that they do in Ghana, Parliament and commissions and whatever, parliamentary committee, and do all those things. They need to look, they need to go down and look into it and come out with facts. There's need for auditing of the whole thing. 3 weeks, we cannot spend that much money. So the planner is going on. But I'm glad on this matter, when during the lunch yesterday, I heard the president sarcastically, he made it, he said something like, he used oral care, and mentioned that it will be operation something, operation recover all the loot, oral. In short, oral. O for operation, R for recover, A for all, and L for loot. So that is what we're going to roll out. We must. In fact, I haven't looked at the social contract properly. I want to know what is the timeline for that. So we can loot, we have to collect everything. The first day, people should start going to jail. They should be detained, passports confiscated or frozen, no travel. They must all remain there because the former president, John Mahama, after handing over, has been in the country every day till now. Another few days that you travel outside on international assignments.
Everything within the social contract is supposed to have ended or started within the first 120 days, by the way. It's 26 items, and it is the first 120 days in office, GM expects. Within the first 4 months, everything here will either be achieved.
XML, everything, those things we have to do. You have to catch people. We have to take them. We have to, set committees, citizens vetting committee of old, something like that. If it means tribunals, we will set up tribunals for the purpose of that. Because we cannot allow them to loot our country and then run away with it. They need to account. If we need to freeze certain assets, we freeze them all. If we need to take forensic audit of people's accounts in Ghana and elsewhere, we have to chase all those things, and then because we need money. The international market has been closed to Ghana because of the activities of these people. We cannot come into government and say we have money sitting down there. While we left a lot of fund for them, stabilization fund, that's under the energy. We also left heritage fund. We left the Ghana infrastructure fund. We left a lot of funds for them, get fund and all that. They are not leaving anything or bequeathing anything like in the form of fund or money for us, because they themselves are even in the commercial market locally looking for loans, including the cocoa board. They cannot go internationally for the syndicated loan that we are used to. Now they are in Ghana looking for local, competing with the private sector. And so what will happen is that interest rates are going to shoot. Already we are within 33% or 30% of interest rate. Who can pay that? Who can afford that? Go for a loan, and then you are supposed to pay 30% and plus. That is not fair. So we don't have money. That's why I'm calling for certain monies to be looked at quickly, clean them back, or plow them back into our coffers if they are supposed to be plowed back, so that we can, disburse them for things that we need now when we come into government. It's very, very important, and we cannot be sympathetic and then be compassionate. If they were not compassionate to us and people were dying out of ill health, out of hunger, why should we be compassionate and have mercy on them and say, look, we're going to allow the usual legal language slogan, the wheel of justice grinds slowly. We must quicken it a little bit and then make sure that, look, we will recoup, we get the monies back and to run the country.
Fantastic. Let's go listen to GM briefly on some of these statements, and then we'll come back and continue our way.
Thank you. Thank you. Eyezu. Eyeza. Eyezu. Eza. Shoboi. Shoboi. Hey. United.
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and
in victory, and as one nation, Ghana, with a common interwoven invisible destiny. Today, we also gather to reignite and reaffirm the dreams of our forebears, led by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of our great nation, a nation with one destiny, a destiny that cannot afford to endure one additional day beyond January 7, 2025, of the maladministration, the mismanagement, and state capture this nation has been subjected to over the last almost 8 years. For the sake of God's children and in the name of God, the people of Ghana will wake up from this nightmare and envision a bright new dawn of opportunities for all its people and not just a few. My brothers and sisters, our dear nation Ghana is bleeding. Ghana's soul is calling for change. Mother Ghana is crying for its true and genuine patriotic citizens to rise up to reset our beloved nation. Ghanaians can take no more of the hardship, the impunity, the state capture, the hypocrisy, the lies, and bad governance that has been inflicted on them over the 2 terms of this outgoing administration. We cannot fail Mother Ghana, and therefore I urge you all to vote for change on December 7th, 2024. We, the members of the National Democratic Congress, have gathered here to express our utmost belief in democratic governance and to proclaim right here in Winneba, also called SIMPA, that the time is up for this administration. The time is up for them to go. They have decimated our democracy beyond recognition. They've destroyed livelihoods and families and pushed millions of our people below the poverty line. Your vote on December 7th will end the tyranny. It will end the cronyism. It will end the corruption. It will end the hardship. It will also pave the way for the vision, experience, and trustworthiness. And I, John Dramani Mahama, is going to restore that to the Flagstaff House. As I've said before, this government must begin writing their handing over notes if they have not started doing so already. This MPP administration has been the biggest political scam that has been pulled on Ghanaians since our independence in 1957. And I'll explain why. They were repackaged with ribbons and sweetly scented with enticing promises. Most Ghanaians will agree that Nana Akufo-Addo is indeed the president Ghana never got. And indeed, I dare say, his much-touted economic whiz-kid, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is also the economic messiah Ghana never got. The NPP government took over from our administration on 7 January 2017. They inherited an energy sector we had stabilized with the fastest mobilization of emergency power of almost 800 megawatts in the history of Ghana. Along with this came a new Energy Sector Levy Act, which we call ESLA, with potential revenues of 3 billion Ghana cedis every year to pay off legacy energy sector debts. They inherited an ongoing Millennium Challenge Compact of $547 million aimed at making Ghana's energy sector the most efficient in Africa. This family, ruling family, quarreled over the shares in the PDS company.
Chairman, so
you know, JM, this is how strong and harsh for the first time. In fact, this is actually pleasing me. He used to be the nice man, and now he's hammering strong.
he in an attempt to be clear, He was differentiating Nanado and his cronies, the people that we call the Chedi Mafia. It's not every Chedi member.
They were quarreling over something they have harvested. Their family were quarreling over the US Millennium Challenge compact account to share, and the share wasn't going well. So they put themselves either on a Zoom conference or phone conference, and we're trying to, this person agree, or no, it's mine. This portion, no, so I will not allow you to take this portion.
It's a shame. Let's say we want to run this a little bit till the top of the hour, then we switch to the differences between the two of them. I will come back to you.
And led to the US pulling back $190 million, which was meant for the most critical component of the compact, and that is private sector participation and improvement in collections at the distribution end of the electricity value chain. They inherited more than $450 million of the IMF extended credit facility initiated by my administration. Most of our state-owned enterprises were breaking even or making a profit. We handed that to them. They inherited a cocoa production of more than 960,000 metric tons of cocoa, with a cocoa board that was making profit and owed only 1.5 billion cedis to the central bank in cocoa bills. We handed over to them 2 new oil-producing wells, the 10 fields and the ENI Sankofa, which increased Ghana's oil production by more than 100,000 barrels per day, with additional gas of more than 200 million standard cubic feet per day. And this increased Ghana's oil revenues from petroleum by more than $500 million every year. They took over from our administration a stabilization fund in which we had accrued $277 million, a Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund with seed money of $270 million, a sinking fund account at the Bank of Ghana with a balance of over $200 million. They inherited a budget that ran a deficit of 6.
So, Chairman, but something that was just going through my mind. So, because I'm imagining that if there is a group of Ghanaians, or there is anybody who is a Ghanaian who has a vote in Ghana, who will listen to all of these things, and knowing that their government was in power for 8 years, who will still vote for the MPP? What is wrong with the mindset of some of these people, and what would be a better way for this message? I am aware that some people will just not want to listen.
Yes, Kingsley, these matters have been well prepared to the facts and the truth, and well delivered to Ghanaians. We expect that all Ghanaians, at least about 80% should hear these messages, and these are the facts. And if they have any doubts, they have numbers to call, they have people to talk to verify the validity of the numbers and the statements that are being made. Now, having done that yesterday, going into the days ahead of us and into the future till December 7th, we all belong in a communal labor project, especially those of us who are activists, those of us who understand the economy of Ghana as we have it now, those of us who are conversant with the way Ghanaians are suffering, the reason why they are in abject poverty, the reason why they are not getting money, the reason why they are not getting employment. We have a responsibility to be loud, but responsible in our speeches, to educate, inform, and engage with our people on the ground in every nook and cranny, to let them understand. Because, Kingsley, we are coming against propagandists. People, all you and I have been seeing on platforms and social media is that they are creating fake news to twist the stories and the presentations of Muhammad, even the manifesto. Yesterday, by the end of the day, they had created slides to misinform. And that is what they are doing. So if we don't wake up, just like the devil and against God's work, while God delivers the message to the Bible or in a church or a place to his sons and daughters, the devil is on the ground trying to change the minds of people. And NPP today have nothing to offer than to be deceiving, knowing that people are now using media, Facebook, Twitter, X, all those media platforms. So that's what they are doing. They are splashing everything over there. Recruited media land gas, as I prefer to call them. And they are busy misinforming. So if Ghanaians, NDC, or those who mean well for Ghana, don't sit down and listen to the messages or read the manifesto or other policy documents and think that it's enough and that will change or rescue the country. It doesn't. We must be in our homes. We must engage our mates. We must climb community platform, town hall meetings, small group meetings, deliberately offering an hour per day or hour, some days, and give education and inform and receive questions for people to come to terms with the realities and the reasons why we are in these realities. Otherwise, these people, they are working hard in the rural areas. They are working so hard on social media. They are working so hard on the traditional media. They are most importantly, talking to their relations and MPP guys. We have to go to them. We should not shun. We should not walk away from them. That is the duty. And that is the crucial duty that we have been called to from today through the time the last ballot is cast. Otherwise, we'll be happy and excited about, okay. I don't need to do anything else. Everybody, imagine everybody knows about it. It's not everybody who knows it. It's not everybody who knows it.
Adversity turned out to be a blessing with a windfall for this government of almost 25 billion Ghana cedis of inflows, most of which were doled out to companies owned by family and friends. The majority of our citizens are convinced that our country, Ghana, is going in the wrong direction.
This is why I stopped shopping.
So, Chairman, let's shift gear. I think that we should go to the manifesto. I was trying to break down the manifesto in a little bit earlier, and I will let me get to it. So, the MPP talks about on page 26. The MPP talks about scholarships. Again, on the same page, they talk about tertiary education. Page 27, they talk about TVET. The NDC's document, the improvement of free senior high school, is on page 38. Tertiary education is on page 39 to 40. The teacher training welfare is on page 40 to 42. Now, this is my take. On what I group to be funding and improvements of the free secondary school, the MPP focuses on continuing and enhancing the existing free senior high school program with expanded infrastructure and improved conditions for teachers. The NDC, however, aims to improve the program by providing dedicated funds, abolishing the double track system, and decentralizing the procurement process. On the matter of tertiary education, the MPP talk about they have plans to provide scholarships. And I'm being careful. There are some words I'm mentioning very carefully. Scholarships specifically for PWDs and establish an open university. The NDC proposes a broader no academic fee policy for all first year students and promises free tertiary education for we know what the NDC document talk about
disabled people.
Yes, physically people with physical challenges.
Unfortunately, challenge.
Yes. On welfare, the NPP plan to recruit more teachers with better condition of service. But one thing that is conspicuously missing and typical of the NPP is that they didn't mention specifically how or what allowance or what welfare projects they were going to do for the teachers and so on and so forth. For teacher welfare, the NDC focuses heavily on improving teacher welfare through allowances, housing projects, and vehicle ownership. So again, clear three major differences. It's Chairman, your take on my initial analysis on the education part of it.
You know something. I'm put off. With due respect and apologies, I've been put off long ago because of the lies that the MPP have been spewing in the public domain. Anytime they want to make a sentence, you'll find about a few words and lies flying through. And so when you are dealing with people who are just perpetual liars, sometimes you don't even want to listen to them.
Right.
I've just taken a cursory look of their manifesto, and I don't see it anything wonderful, especially some of the things that they mentioned. I believe they're in government, and I believe that it can start working on some of the things, even though when we are campaigning, we don't need, or they don't need to hold us waiting until they get into government with Baumia before they start, changing a few things. Because I believe, and what I've grown to know, that when you're in government and you are asking for an extension of mandate to continue doing what you're doing, you climb on your achievements. You don't abandon your achievement as if you don't belong in the current government that you belong in. So the moment you are a flag bearer and a vice president flag bearer, you haven't resigned, you haven't formed any other party, and all you talk about is as if another party, you are campaigning another party and promising that when you come, for example, e-levy will be, withdrawn. And I tend to question you. You're not telling me anything about e-levy. You're not telling me anything about things that you say you want. Tell me if there's a reason why you cannot stop it now. Let me know so that I can follow you. So when you are deceiving me and then you are not being clear about your messages, I'll look at your manifesto and then walk away. Let me dwell on mine, which is the NDC manifesto when it comes to education.
Right.
You see, one most important item in the teaching industry that discourages teachers is about one, accommodation, and two, vehicle. When I was in Ghana and teaching full time in one school, secondary school, I needed to have some time in the evening to go and organize additional classes and charge fees. I leave home around 7. By the time I come home, maybe 9 p.m. When you work, one time one of my friends told us, Governor, what him say? Say hey juma hey. Say anka ya bro chief na hey juma anka ya tokada da do. Moto time we couldn't even ask, couldn't pass by. Teachers. At least we were privileged because we were in the urban cities, we were in the Tema, Accra, and Coke, so we could do and get some money. But imagine somebody who's in the village, in a rural area, a teacher posted there, And all he does is farming. How much? Subsistence. So to think about a vehicle for a teacher, and this is nice in the sense that, look, it cannot cough up a down payment. It cannot cough up. It cannot go to a bank. But it's become a deliberate policy where you'll be assisted. You get a duty waiver if you were importing it, and you can do that easily without going to the dealership, local dealership, and then go and buy. You can use the dealership for import, or you can call your relatives for an import of a home use directly. And then through GRA and Education Service or whatever it is, you get a waiver. So you have some reliable vehicle to use, including Education Service, the Ministry of Education in your employer, in a certain understanding with your bank would help you secure where, get your vehicle, and then, through deductions, convenient deductions, you also become a human being and will be respected in society. When your colleagues who are in the banks and other privileged places, and they are getting vehicles to drive, you as just when you wake up from your house, your sons or your children will be proud, and you'll be proud yourself to at least put them in a vehicle, sit at the back, and you also drive. So that at least you are also coming to the standard as expected in the place you live. You don't go and stand at a trotro station or walk. So for me, that is one. Two, it's about the Ejuma, teacher Dabre. That is how he's been Christian in the manifesto. Teacher Dabre in Chi. Baby, a teacher better, a place, a sleeping place for the teacher. That is deliberate, and that is very important. In Ghana and as in globally, every place, every city, every town have teachers, village, because schools are all over the country. So every place that there are human beings, children are being produced, there should be a primary school, kindergarten, or whatever. It's just all over the place. But the painful thing and embarrassing is that when you are posted to a village, you, from a crackdom or whatever, you get discouraged, demotivated in the first place when accommodation becomes a problem, or where you obtain is not maybe to the things that you have wished, or even when you have to, put some payment down, maybe 2 years advance. I say, I know it's not lucrative. Then again, I face all these challenges. Before you are aware, you are looking elsewhere, or you don't want to stay, or you make arrangement. In Ghana, we make arrangement. So you go to the service and then go and see somebody, an officer. They look, and I have done that before. So say, why are you posting me to Santana Mozo? There's a village like that. When you should put me in town so that I can also be seeing cinema
instead of going to Shua Mombo.
And again, remember that I'm coming. If I am an adult a little bit, maybe I am married, I have children. So that's area that a government or the NDC government is considering implementing so that teachers can be comfortable. It's not only the teachers, but also doctors and nurses. So, it covers all those who are needed in every part of the country. Very important, crucial matter that NDC had decided to address, and we can only be thankful as a member of fraternity of teachers for what they are trying to roll out for teachers in Ghana. Great teachers, and teacher for some more classroom like MPP does. They don't know morals and values. They gather students on parks to rallies. They ask headmasters and head teachers, I've seen that flying around with students in uniform at rally places for MPP. We will not do that. We cannot abuse the children like that. But at least we should be educating. As teachers, we are educators. Let's get the facts, let's get the reality, and being agents of change, activists for a good Ghana, a better Ghana, for ourselves, our children, and the generation to come. It's very important.
All right. So, Chairman, let me again on healthcare. My summaries on healthcare. Healthcare policies. The MPP Manifesto 2024 on page 25. The MPP manifesto mentioned the completion of Agenda 111. On the same page 25, they talk about the recruitment of healthcare professionals. And this is the same people who have kept healthcare workers in the house for 3 years and over without employment. On the same page 25, they talk about expansion of telehealth and and e-health services. On the same page 25, they talk about the incentive for health workers. And on the next page 26, they talk about a little bit of improvement of maternal health care. And again, I'm intentionally mentioning the page number so that you see the dedication that they have put into it. The NDC, however, on page 43, the NDC talk about free primary health care. On page 42, the first one was 43. On page 42, the NDC talk about what GM mentioned to be Mahama Cares, the Ghana Medical Care Trust Fund. On page 43 to 44, that is 3 pages on healthcare so far. The NDC talk about the expansion of healthcare infrastructure. And again, the NDC have built several hospitals in the past, so you know when NDC say that, they mean it. On page 43, the NDC talk about risk exposure insurance for healthcare workers. Again, this is very, very, very particular. It talks about risk exposure. If in case you are a nurse, you are a doctor, and you get exposed to any risk, the NDC has a plan to cover you. And on page 43, the NDC talk about support for healthcare workers training. Now, the differences. Healthcare access. Now, for those of you who have done anything in healthcare, access, cost, and quality is a barrier or it's an issue with healthcare in almost every country. So on access, I was looking at access. The MPP focuses on completing the ongoing Agenda 111. That's the way they talked about it in their book as access. The NDC proposes implementing free primary healthcare nationwide, significantly increasing the access to basic healthcare. Now, when they talk about free, again, I just mentioned that when it comes to what in healthcare we call the triangle, cost, access, and quality. Now, if you should minimize costs, it increases access, okay, and effectively increases quality as well. And so the NDC is talking about reducing the cost to increase access, which makes sense, versus the MPP talking about Agenda 111. Again, this is the same party that I've promised several times and never delivered. Now, on support for chronic health, the MPP did not mention anything about chronic health. There is nothing in their manifesto on healthcare for the workers, the nurses, the doctors, nothing mentioned there. The NDC proposes to establish the Ghana Medical Care Trust to support healthcare costs for chronic diseases. If you have any diseases as a healthcare worker, the NDC got you. The NDC got you. Healthcare workers' welfare. The NDP offers incentive for such as a health vehicle tax waiver, ensure compliance with. They're talking about compliance with deprived areas. Now, what the MPP proposes is the NDC proposes risk exposure insurance and a rural allowance for healthcare workers, along with scholarship for advancing your training. Now, what the NDC is talking about is that if you get exposed to any risk, the NDC says we have your back covered. If you have to go to a rural area because we need nurses there, we need doctors there, the NDC is saying that they have allowance for you. So I'm aware of many medical doctors who want to go to the rural area, but they consider the education of their children in some of the cities to be more expensive. But the NDC say that, look, we will give you more money. And because we are giving you more money, you can then be able to support your children in other areas if you choose to. You can be in Gugurubuyoyo, you can be in Wali Wali, you can be in Baumias Town, and still keep your children in school in Accra because you have more money in your pocket. Along with the fact that if you are a nurse, a doctor, you want to do professional studies, you want to go back to school, then this says that they will provide a scholarship for that matter. So, Chairman, on the healthcare, this is my summary.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for breaking it down into pieces for us to understand. And the difference is very clear. We are introducing something from us and NDC, bringing something new that you have pointed out that NPP has not stepped in or showed any interest in that. Kingsley, let me take us back a little bit. Remember that we are coming back into power on the back of our accomplishments and the projects and innovations that we did in the healthcare system. At least I can mention the health mobile on the adult vans. They were very important, and I believe that we are not abandoning that, even though it got abandoned for the last 8 years, with the vehicles and the vans being left to rot. So we are not walking away from those things that we spent a lot of money, taxpayers' money, to roll out, to start rolling out for it to cover, the country. We only roll them out along a few number of cities to see how it goes, especially from Cape Coast to Accra and the Kumasi. So we are not going to abandon that because they come to supplement or as another supplement to the cheap compounds that we introduced, that our appointees were contributing so much into putting the cheap compounds like small rural health centers. So very important to those vulnerable who are in areas, deprived areas. Access to the nearest hospital becomes a distance for them. So for me, touching those individuals or those families is very important to me, because from Tema, I can go to the General Hospital. I can go to maybe Accra, the Bank Hospital, can go to the Ghana Post Harbor and Computer and all that. So I am among the other clinics around the polyclinic and all that. But the rural folks are really what touches me. So what we introduce in the last administration will not be abandoned as they have been abandoned. We will revive them and then roll them out to cover a good number. In addition to the medical, the Mahama care, that is a sort of insurance, a sort of a system to support and give insurance to the risks that employees in the health sector face, to people who are challenged financially, people who are the adults, the elderly, and co, to help them, at least so that when they are hit by certain cases, occurrences, health-wise, they have the Mahama care thing to help them. Just as we have elaborated and clearly detailed on the workers, the workers, the nurses, the medical, the health workers, the doctors, the nurses, they come across a lot of risks, contagious and infectious diseases while they try to protect themselves. But again, in case anything happens, they cannot be left on their own. They are assured that there is some insurance package that is behind in case a risk occurs. So that is very important. A free kind of primary health for everybody is necessary. There may not be, there are bigger health occurrences, but it should be it shouldn't be difficult for people to walk into health centers or hospitals and get some basic checks and go home away. Headaches, you want to check your blood, or you are having malaria and you need some, kind of tablets for the doctor to attend to you, your pressure, checking your pressure, your diabetic numbers and all that, which you have to do every day. It shouldn't cost anybody, because if we allow them those basics, is to keep them healthy and advise them. You go and then you are also counseling and advice, health-wise, diet-wise, what you should be doing. Whether you have to be exercising, whether you should stop eating a certain meat or a certain food. They are all part of keeping you healthy before the bigger one occurs, where maybe you have where the insurance kicks in. So the free thing is very important. You see, in Cuba, my journeys to Cuba a number of times, health is free to the extent that even the health care workers, doctors, and nurses, they attend to patients in their homes. They go there, and the trainees, the doctor trainees, they take trotro. There are buses, Havana, Cuba, and then you join and then go home, go from house to house, asking people about the house, holding your stethoscope and all your tools, making sure. And even the education alone, according to the doctors who were the healthcare workers, and in fact, I was visiting our students who were there, they realized that even the people themselves can, because of the education that they had in health, when they visit hospital, they can tell you that this is what is it seems to be the case in my body or in the case that I have now. And they are conversant with the medications. They know what you're supposed to give them for this medication. But the nice thing is this: we have to start from somewhere. Even though we may not have those things, primary education and then access, like you mentioned. So we are taking progressive steps to ensure that our health delivery system is expanded to the next level, so that we can have longevity of life. We can have reduce illnesses in the country and take care of our environment, including our environment, making sure that mosquitoes don't breed anywhere, cleanliness, environmental sanitation, and all that. Those are all things that I believe when we expand, this is just a bridge form. When we have our speakers, the spokespersons of the various manifesto thematic areas, start educating, and then we rolling it out, a lot more will be known and added to the bones, that the skeletal bones that we have now. So it's very, very important that we take our health seriously and minimize the cost of health delivery. Take very good care of our health workers and get them where they need to lay their heads as well. Very important. Thank you, Kingsley.
The funny thing, before I go to I go to the economy. The funny thing about the MPP full manifesto, which is 44 pages, versus the NDC's abridged, the short version, which is 72 pages. It's that alone, the details in the abridged version of the NDC, that is just 72 pages, blows my mind. And the MPP's full document is 44 pages. Another funny thing that happened in the manifesto when I was doing my first reading was the fact that there was a message from the flag bearer. There was a message from the vice candidate. In the MPP one, there was a message from Baumia as in his vision. Now, it was only picture they took from him. They didn't allow Napo to write anything because the man cannot be trusted. Napo's words are not in the manifesto. They didn't allow Napo to write in the manifesto. So that for me was very interesting.
Yes, Kingsley, that is, you shouldn't be surprised about that.
Yeah.
Napo cannot sit down with his team and then put anything sensible on paper, and it's been displayed all over the place. Perhaps they expected him to write something, but he didn't have time. He was thinking about Kormla insulting everybody out there. And so remember that they were on the third campaigning, even though we knew they had put a campaign team together for long. And they decided to take a break, about a week break, and come home, put about a 319 member team together to sit down over 1 week to finalize the document. So Napo couldn't have a room, and that should be surprising. That's why he kept running his mouth through his nose all over the place at the campaign grounds. And I like him. He's a nice guy to watch, and he's giving exciting dimensions to the campaign that is rolling out. So we should allow him to keep his campaign going, and then we'll be focused on the serious matters.
And Napo, keep trying. One day the MPP will allow you to say something in the manifesto. That is basically what we are saying. Okay, so on the economy, my first little read. On page 18, the MPP mentioned what they call economic growth. On the same page 18, the MPP talked about private partnership, public-private partnership, PPP. Remember, public-private partnership, PPP. This is not paycheck protection program. So it's funny when you read on that. Then the MPP plans to increase PPPs as a key funding. It was even more confusing to read than it's unfortunate. They talk about tax reforms on page 19 to 21. When they mentioned the things like the Estonia model, it's funny that Baumia talks about America, Germany, UK, but when it comes to tax reforms, he's using Estonia. Like I was a little bit flabbergasted, but this is the MPP for you. They're talking about the Estonia model. So if you don't know the Estonia model, you can go and read on the Estonia model of tax reform. Then probably you will understand the MPP's take on tax reform. They talk about job creation, very cunningly copying the NDC statement about 1 million jobs directly. The only thing that they did was that they put in youth in digital skills. They talk about proposing and training 1 million youths in digital skills. That was on page 18 to page 19. Small and medium enterprises support. They talk about that on page 20, where they talk about a Fitch fund with a seed capital to attract private sector funding for, again, for startup. Again, really meaningless. Now, the NDC on page 22 to 23 talks about the economic recovery and stabilization. This, again, feed into the entire campaign that the NDC is making, that the economy, and just many Ghanaians, that the economy is broken. Again, one of the things that is rolling under our screen is the statement that Franklin Kujo made, that the NDC's manifesto was more practical, made more sense than the MPP's manifesto. So the NDC talked about that, and they talk about $10 billion for the big push policy. And that was resounding. That makes a lot of sense. They talk about how to strengthen, stabilize the CD, restoring the fiscal and debt sustainability, and shoring up foreign reserves one more time. Tax reforms and reliefs. The NDC talks about how they were going to scrap e-levy, scrap COVID levy, and the 10% levy on bets will be scrapped. And within the first 100 days, they talk about that. The NDC also proposed to comprehensively reform the Ghana's VAT regime to provide relief for households and businesses, including revising the decoupling Get Fund and NHIL from VAT. That is on page 22. On page 27 to 30, the NDC talk about the industrialization and job creation, where the NDC went into full details into promotion value additions to domestic consumptions and exports. The NDC also proposed establishing agro-industry zone in all regions and reviving defunct industries such as the Komenda Sugar Factory that the MPP have leased out. The NDC have a clear plan for it. The support for SMEs versus compared to the one for the MPP, the NDC intend to provide tax breaks. It was clearly stated in there. It was not vague statements. Low-cost financing for strategic startups clearly stated for small, medium, micro, small, and medium scale enterprises. So from the tabletop woman to the medium enterprises. And then this talks about the implementation of Made in Ghana agenda to promote, again, we know John Bahama for the promotion of the Made in Ghana goods, wearing the stuff made in Ghana exclusively. Then this again also talked about the fiscal responsibility and debt management on page 24 to 25. Okay, let's narrow down on some small differences. On the economic growth, the MPP focused on sustaining existing growth. Now, listen to the word that the MPP used. The MPP talks about sustaining the growth, which means that what you are seeing today, the MPP is saying that for economic growth, that is where they are going to be. They will continue like that. Talking about the PPP and the tax reform. Now, the NDC, on the other hand, says that we have to get on economic recovery and stabilization with a focus on strategic infrastructure development and urgent reform to address fiscal challenges. On tax policies, the NDP proposes a flat tax rate and tax amnesty to stimulate business activities, along with VAT reform to simplify tax administration. Again, the MPP is in power; they can implement it if they want to. The NDC is clear and said that the NDC plans to scrap several taxes, which many of them have mentioned already, comprehensively reform the VAT system to reduce the burden on businesses and households. Industrialization and job creation, the NDP aim to create jobs through digital skill training and private sector driven initiatives. Completely makes no sense. And again, but one of the things about the NDP is that they always put in these private sector initiatives, which is what they continue to do, and then they will go and hide behind a company. Tobinco will do something, and they will say, "Oh, the NDP government did it." But this is what the NDC said on that. NDC proposes aggressive industrialization through the establishment of agro-industry zones and the implementation of the 24-hour economy to drive job creation. Chairman, your take on the economy on both manifestos?
Yeah, Kingsley. The economy that we left with the NPP is not the same thing that we are finding now. They've measured the economy to the extent that now nobody wants to touch us at all or deal with us. They caused the problem, collapsed businesses, and left people who otherwise had very decent employment in the system to go down, unfortunately, to be doing businesses that they wouldn't have normally done. Not to say that those businesses are not right or end up living by whatever means is not dignifying. But again, the mischievous ways by which they collapsed the financial system, because the financial system was supporting businesses where businesses or businessmen, private people could go to deposit some money for it to circulate in the economy and multiply in the economy, and at the same time going back there to take a few or some amount of money in the form of capital to hold up their small businesses that whether it's tabletop job or buying and selling or into rural oil palm extraction business or even cassava starch and all that. They were deprived. Remember, one of the banks with the GN Bank spread all over the country to the rural areas. That was the nearest bank to many people who were doing really rural businesses, like I mentioned, which are really, because I have a family who buys the palm nut from the farmers around the Kedi Akutia environment, where he has a local machine that was imported from China. I hear they are manufacturing of the machines around the railway place, Kantamanto. So that's what they are all doing over there. There are those who are doing the fufu, small fufu machines. So to buy that machine for pounding fufu is a machine. You plug it, and then they have to get some money from maybe the local bank. So if you have collapsed all those banks and that they cannot get, it's just an example. So just to say that the PPP that you mentioned It's not anything new. Public-private partnership has been there for a very long time.
Right.
It became loud maybe in the new generation around where we were leaning towards more, when we started leaning, especially under this 1992 constitution and its democracy, we were focusing on private participation. If I even under the ERP, the days of Rawlings, they were there. We allow, private participation of businesses where the legislature also even brought in some private participation. So it's nothing new. Like you rightly pointed out, they throw in these kind of things and then go and label them as 1D, 1F, to take some glory for themselves. It's just a deception. But seriously, when you come into the NDC, our flagship 24-hour economy as a game changer is what we are focusing on. It's very important because besides the big push which reflected in our manifesto, regularizing Okada operators, discipline themselves, be licensed, properly attired, renewal of licenses, paying some taxes, small taxes, to help the economy, operating under serious regulation, registered so that if anybody picks an Okada, the passenger knows exactly the profile of that passenger. So software through the IT and ICT jobs that will be rolled out, and people, the youth, will take care of. Some software have to be created that every Okada person will have to have, and maybe put them in unions, just like the Uber over here. Put them into unions so that the union leaders are in charge, and people will be confident enough to know who is riding them, just like the taxis, so that whose back they are riding on to the next destination. It's very important. Discipline together with the vehicular movement all over the country. At least it's for the jobs. And in the 24-hour economy, I grew up in the Tema Hub, and I grew among industrial companies and factories all over the place where we, the young ones, and our uncles, our fathers, we were working under a sort of the 133, one job, 3 people, 3 shifts. It makes it simple. So, for example, we have Tema Textile Limited. If we're able to get the cotton from the farm or for whatever, or we import the cotton, and according to the president when he was speaking yesterday, we want to revive these textile industries. But the challenge is about where do we get the cotton? And we have identified Burkina Faso, Benin, and Co. that they can, support us to begin with, and then to feed the industries. At least we started with a GTP and maybe TTL, or open new ones altogether. We can get a cotton so that we can produce our own textiles to feed our own local consumption and also export them as we used to do to the regional markets. I'm talking about the same Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, and others. That's how we generate money and then add value. So that even now, when we are not able to manufacture or grow the cotton now, we do that. We buy from our neighboring countries, and then later on we get into the plantation. We'll go to the farming of cotton in areas that were growing cotton previously, around Japan areas and all that, so that so jobs will be available in various places for people to run a shift by giving them incentives. It is not mandatory. I see people have been thinking that government will have to order or impose every company, private or public, to start doing 24-hour shift. To the extent that ridiculously, somebody was asking that, okay, the 24-hour economy doesn't mean that teachers will have to run shift. And so in the night, we'll be going to school. Who are the students? And I'm like, you are stretching that thing too far. This is common sense. You don't expect that pupils or students who go in the morning and close in the others come in the afternoon, and then the night will come. And then the teachers also will be running shift. You chose a wrong example. And you should be sensible enough to know that it is not just across every industry, across every company, and across every business or endeavor. No, it's an incentive, it's an encouragement to allow people coming. Those companies that are available, are public or private, that are available now. Yes, it's a matter of rolling out gradually across the country, and then see how we progress to it, so that jobs will be available for people. Our yawning, the yawning gap between unemployment and employment, and then those who are without jobs. And the big push is also there. I'm excited about the coding, and that. Remember, we have this. Is it a network center? The network center, the IT center in Kaneshi thereabout.
The data center.
The data center. You see, that is the area that we have to help. Everybody must tap into it, and then train the students. I mean, our youth who are even in schools, they can go there and create small jobs or some other job somewhere, and then tap from it and be able to even do a lot of online jobs for those who have a flair for the language. It's possible to get business over here. Kingsley, you are the business guy. Can get business over here, get some contracts from here, and get your employees in Ghana. If you go into that, so that if you meet with customer service, you can get some nice people, like you saw our youth who were at the youth manifesto launch. For me, I was at the way they were rattling the English clear. It will not be Indian to accent. You have Ghana youth doing customer service for us through this coding system, and then IT jobs. We'll be making money. They'll be making money while in school, so that by the time they finish school, they think about establishing their own small businesses all over the place. Clearly enough. So we'll be reducing unemployment and getting jobs for people. So all these are part of the big push, and we expect that we'll be able to, having calculated, we were able to, target the 10 million that we're talking about. We should be able to do that, and it shouldn't be difficult at all if only we focus and then pay attention to it. So these are, for me, a few of the matters we can talk about.
Fantastic.
Yeah, to relieve people in business. The taxes are killing them at the port and at the points of purchase. You see, at the port and import, people have stopped. You just mentioned it, that people have imported, exporting vehicles from here, and the duty alone is discouraging them. It's the same like Abosoka. Many people have stopped, that business. I was suspended it for now. So we have to look at the tax regime of, and some those are already mentioned to be scrapped. But you go to a restaurant to buy maybe jollof rice and chicken, and you get a price.
Come on, bring it to an end, and let's try and sneak in the last topic.
Exactly. So when they get the receipt, you see the receipt and the VAT and this and all that, and finally they give you a price. Then you realize that the original price plus the tax, you realize the tax element alone is just overwhelming. It's annoying. This things have to be restructured.
Thank you.
The victory of Muhammad. The victory of Muhammad.
Ghana is at an important juncture in its history, and the decision that we make on 7th December is going to reflect on the future of this country. In the last Afrobarometer survey, more than 80% of Ghanaians said that our country is going in the wrong direction. If you are walking or you are driving and you are going in the wrong direction, what do? You change your course. And that is why on 7th December, Ghana must change course. We cannot solve the crisis in which we are with the same people who caused the crisis in the first place.
Baumia's solution to everything? Digitalization. You see, Baumia is like when you sit in a trotro. You see the person who sits in the trotro holding the bag of medicines. Oh, yeah, do not see Kakedro. Ya kakedi ni wa mu. Ni ani ba su fitie. Ni awanya driba e kro ni bewu. Everything Baumia's answer to it is digitalization. Baumia has digitalized toilets. Yendidi ya. Yejayena. Baumia has digitalization for the food for children in their free SHS who haven't got food to eat. He has digitalized, so-called digitalized food distribution for children who are not eating. Right? Mm-hmm. Their approach to every problem is kakedu. That is Baumia.
If it takes Boachejaku 100 years to speak the truth, how many years will it take Bagumia to speak the same truth? Never. And that's right. Quickly, we are not taking too much time. Never in his life will he speak the truth.
All right. So, anyway, for those of us who have traveled to Kumasi or Cape Coast or Taekwondo before, you will understand that one. Once the guy enters, everything, if you say you can't, your stomach, anything, he will give you that. So, we remember the NDC holding a press conference about this BVDs that were missing and the statement that you see. So, so this week, we saw some boys arresting some guy. He was holding one of these EC serious security matter instrument like Kusi. Hey, Kanapani. This guy was just holding the thing freely in town like a phone. And then so he was asked and he was mentioning some names, basa. To the extent that the EC have to issue a 2-page document. This was the guy that was arrested, and the document, our dear BVD in his hands.
Police will not track our watch the boy. Boy, my master, me problem because me can say me won't joke. Because maybe because I won't joke. You mean that now? Because we must use
Hey, this is a serious. This is national security matter.
I don't understand the guy. Can you explain what? Because he doesn't look like somebody who knows what he's holding on.
No, and you see, Chairman, it could be a plan.
The way now, he looks like a drunkard.
When they arrested, plan B.
He behaves like he's like somebody who goes to court and he decides to be a dumb. He can't speak deaf and deaf.
Yeah. Chairman, I remember in those days where things were very difficult, and people were transporting things from Togo, Nigeria, and again, I've done business on that corridor, buying things from Nigeria, Benin, Togo to Ghana. And I remember one of the tactics was just carry a mad person, let him load the things, and you walk across the border for nothing. And people, it was good for some time. and you see, this guy, when you look at this guy in a natural sense of life, this guy cannot go to EC's office and steal anything.
No,
he can't. So,
but why is he holding it?
German. The thing is that I don't know where, I don't know how, I don't know who. Maybe the thing they stole so many that maybe one fell and then he also found it in the ground. I mean, like, and the guy said,
No, but seriously, you see, we cannot take this for granted.
No.
This is a security device. And when I watched the screen, it had the Electoral Commission Ghana is carved on it.
Right.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have believed it. Because I thought this is some local area boy, baby now, so or you say your phone be, but no, the whole and this morning I saw a release coming from the Electoral Commission. Is it yesterday? Yeah. And
Yesterday.
they have confirmed that this is their equipment.
Right.
So nobody should take equipment to be like maybe some damage, some auction, or some end of life, the so-called. No, it's live, and they have confirmed by the release that it is part of their equipment.
Yes, but Chairman, the funny thing is that the release from the EC talked about the biometric verification devices. It's only 5 that is missing. For me, for 5, for this guy to be holding one, for somebody to go through all the trouble, for it to end up in this guy's hand, pretty interesting, Chairman.
That is why there is a reason. I remember General Chairman Shirin Katia called, in fact, by the Director of Elections, Dr. Amani Buama. They want the whole EC system, IT system, to be audited.
Yes.
But so far, NDC doesn't know who were arrested, so-called arrested, and they are under investigation for court. We don't know them. We don't know the case. We don't know the charges. We don't know anything. We cannot be running ourselves to the elections with all these kind of doubts around it. The earlier, the better. I will appeal through you to your brother, Yaira Koku. I'm appealing to you to reach out to them. They shouldn't just be following these people. The whole EC place is a crime scene. It's a place where crime is being perpetrated. Let them open it up for a certain credible organization to look at exactly what is it that they have in place. Besides the human beings who are contaminated and are compromised agents of NPP at the EC, we cannot be relying and then just going along and taking things for granted. That these people don't have anything up their sleeves. Let's get these things done and ask the relevant questions to be clear that we are all moving to the election with an even field prepared for all of us. Otherwise, we'll be surprised. And we don't want any surprise. If any surprises happen, I will attack you, and then you lead me to Koku Yaira. I'll put a cutlass over your head until you take me to Manibuama and Koku Yaira. I will not forgive you. And I'll call members here in the US to come and help me hold you and others.
Oh, Chairman. Very and for me, the interesting thing about this whole thing is is the fact that this thing the fact that the EC doesn't even see a problem, and I don't remember anybody losing their job over this matter. Things got missing, and then we just move on. And this is, like I said, this is a national security matter. Ghana government spent money to buy these things. And the EC just sit there and just say, don't worry about it, and we'll do our investigation. If, as you remember, like they said here, as you remember, from April 24th, 2024, we talked about 5 laptops are missing, 5D, and people are still at post. And then they went on and just writes, and nothing happens to anybody. And this is what the release that is signed by the EC from yesterday. And it's unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate. And Nana Doe doesn't see anything wrong with it. He doesn't call any officers from the EC to book. And this guy just walked in town and was like, everyone.
Wow, We say we are
Many police will not track our now Farouk
watch the boy. Oh boy, my master me problem because me person me won't join me. Because me person me won't join me. You mean that now? Because we machine will need.
Phone by the head phone by the head never told you to make a sir.
Paddy is claiming that he just wanted to do guy with a thing, and he thought it was a phone. It's unfortunate. The EC, Baumia, the Nanado, the whole government is just these people will never ever tell the truth.
If it takes Boachejaku 100 years to speak the truth, how many years will it take Bagumia to speak the same truth? Never. And that's right. Quickly, we are not taking too much time. Never in his life will he speak the truth.
Never. It doesn't seem like there is anyway. Thank you, guys. Chairman, your last question.
Yeah, Kingsley, I'm applying. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I want to appeal through your medium to people in the US and in the diaspora to start calling back home. They should embark, make it a duty and part of their itinerary and programs for the day to be calling their families and their friends in Ghana. All about what we have heard so far, what we are faced with. Their freedom, their peace is also our peace. So a need for them to verify as the exhibition is being rolled out in a couple of days, it comes to an end, make sure that they are on a ballot register, the election register, and we'll pray for their health and be alive on December 7th and make sure that they deliver their votes. They shouldn't sit home. They should go out and vote massively. We have to reset Ghana for accountability, for development, and making sure that people are held responsible for the poverty they have imposed and ruled on us as a country. Very important. Thank you.
Fantastic. My brother said this guy is pretending. He was on an assignment with the equipment. I agree with you. I think so too. It's just unfortunate that he was caught, and then he all of a sudden started talking like some junkie. Was phone with them payment once. Anyway, by the way, I am a to-do boy, so you can pardon me. Abra said, never in Babia's life will he speak the truth. Never. Royal said, very, very true. Godwin said, this matter, which is the BVD matter, it's a serious matter. We must take it as such. Crane said, wow, these people. Gbemu said, this is a plan. I believe the ECU is aware of this. I agree. I mean, there is no way that 5 laptops and 5 BVD devices would be missing and nobody is held responsible. Like nothing. Nothing happens to anybody. Like all of you are still at post of nothing. Like no investigation, nothing. How do we make sure it doesn't happen again? What if this happened a day to the elections and then thousands of our machines are missing and laptops are missing? What happens? So we cannot conduct elections? Like, it doesn't make sense. The EC has security people at the office. The EC has cameras. So Ghana police cannot just pick the cameras and check. Is that what it is, that the Ghana police cannot check the cameras? Is it an issue where, what time was this installation breached? You know, I think that we need answers, and the EC need to provide some answers instead of the fact that it's okay. This is not okay. This is not okay. Thank you guys very much, and I'm glad you guys have been with us. For those of you whose name have been mentioned, please, at the end of the program, post your numbers and names, and then we will reach out to you as soon as possible. We are trying to get to you as soon as possible. So keep us in your prayers. Hopefully, I'll see you again next week, Sunday. Like we say always, may God keep you guys and continue to protect all of you, because we are in trying times. This is not normal, and we can only hope and pray that God comes to our rescue and continue to keep us. People are really suffering in Ghana. People are really suffering. So let's keep working hard. There is hope. December, when GM wins next year, things will be better. So keep the faith. Don't lose God. Don't lose hope.
The nation builder, Mahama, run up your work money. Mahama, Organama 2, Mahani, Sukuwadai, Hospital, Aqua Papa, Sagana Beya, Yebediye, Yahumatoye, Oh, 1 million jobs, Mama, Obabeyo, Obeye, Organama 2, Missy Lulugo, Translate. Ayeza, Ndc Forum.